that this should be the existing turf field. We're going into the practice field area, and again, we're going to lead up into the new building. This is from a Park Street angle. I feel like the theme to Star Wars should be playing, right? Don't you have that image right now? It's drawing you in. So we're going to circulate around the building. This road here would be the pretty much the significant entrance into the building, although there is another one that you'll see in just a moment. This would all be the new high school academic wing. It's a 3-story building. Again, we'll talk more about that in just a moment. This is really just to kind of give you a flyby overview of the whole structure. So as we move to the left, what you're going to soon see is another entrance into the building that would lead parents who drop off students, and also the buses that would drop off students in the morning. And again, I guess pick them up in the afternoon. And the entrances are separate. There's a separate middle school entrance and a separate high school entrance. This area here is the library media center that would be shared by both schools. A high school entrance here. And you can see a separate middle school entrance here. Just this whole kind of pavilion area for all to share. This is the high school administrative wing, the middle school administrative wing, the 6th grade academy on top. And now this is where the existing middle school is now, but you can see that it's substantially renovated. What's shown here is the district offices for the superintendent of schools and other central office staff. We're swinging around to the back of the building now, and in my mind, this really, while it may be referred to as the back of the building, really is a significant entrance because there's a substantial amount of parking in this area, and you're going to hear a reference throughout the next few minutes from both Mrs. O'Connell and me to the Main Street corridor of the school. And the entrance to that Main Street area is going to come up quickly. And this will lead us into gymnasium area, cafeteria, auditorium. It really becomes almost like the backbone of the entire building. And that's right here. So all that you see here on the left is gymnasium space, behind that is cafeteria, and on the other side is auditorium. So now we're going to swing around, and you're going to almost assume that, that same viewpoint as we were at from the beginning, looking at the high school academic wing. This large glass structure here, that's into a long-distance learning lab. That's kind of a mini theater with about 100 to 120 seats in it. That, again, that would be a space shared by both schools. So here we see again now the high school academic wings, 3 stories high, and that's the long-distance learning lab that I spoke about just a moment ago. And now we're kind of backing out to the same view from where we started just a moment ago. So, I think it represents a lot. I'm hoping you share the excitement that we all feel too. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. O'Connell for a moment. She's going to talk to you about some of the portions of the floor plan of the building.
Thank you, Mr. Bernard. Of course, you got the slide with the video, and I get the one with the floor plan. But I'll just walk you through it a little bit if Mr. Bernard could use the laser just to show. Let's start with the middle school. It's on the left-hand side. That would be the middle school where the light blue is. On the far left is the current LGR, if you're familiar at all with the middle school. That's the current LGR, and would likely be the administrative suites of offices. In the middle school in blue are all the classrooms. So on the main level would be the 7th and 8th grade classrooms, the teams, 7th and 8th grade teams. In the green are the unbelievable state-of-the-art science labs, which will be a huge, huge change to the way we're currently teaching science. And in between the two science labs in the purple is a courtyard that I'll show you a little bit more about in the next few slides. And then in the red, still at the middle school, is the robotics and technology lab. And on the right in the middle school is the art wing in the red, and the administration offices in the light blue. Over to the far right is the shared facilities that Mr. Bernard spoke about, the gymnasium, the cafeteria, the auditorium, the library media center, and then at the bottom in the front is the academic high school wing. And then the middle school floor plan, I can go into a little bit more detail just to tell you that purple area, we have a opportunity to have a courtyard in the middle school that can become a classroom. And I think all of you can just imagine the possibilities to have access to a courtyard within the walls of the science classrooms would be an amazing opportunity for the students. And again, to have the teams, right now our 7th and 8th grade students are teamed, as are our 6th grade students, but the science classrooms are not with the teams. They're off in a separate area due to our current setup in terms of how the building was built. The far right is the school within a school concept for the 6th grade academy, which I support 100%. I think it's so helpful in the transition from grade 5 to grade 6, and that would remain. And again, in the light blue in the front are the administrative offices for both the high school and the middle school, as well as guidance. And in the red, in the rear, would be the art facilities. So this is my favorite slide. This is the courtyard, the middle school courtyard. And you can see in the far end is a small, it's an open space, like a small group collaboration space that falls into the courtyard. So teachers could use that space to do some direct teaching and then allow the kids to go into the courtyard to do some experimentation, to do some building. You see some robotics, which some of you may know. We started a robotics program this year in grade 6, and we hope to expand it to grade 7 and 8. It's been an amazing experience for the 6th graders to participate in. And just to remind you to the floor plan, on either side of that courtyard are the science classrooms. So they would have access to that courtyard. And then just to expand a little bit on the shared facility concept, sharing those facilities, the gymnasium in the orange would have, and we'll go into it a little bit more, but separate locker rooms for the middle school and the high school. We have detailed slides in the gymnasium that Mr. Bernard will go through with you. In green is the cafeteria with separate dining areas. The middle school will eat separately from the middle school. The middle school will eat separately from the high school, excuse me. I want to make sure that everyone is aware of that. They're separate dining facilities. But in the middle, we are saving money by being efficient with one prep area, so that we really have one kitchen and we're preparing one area for that. The auditorium is in the red. Where we're currently seated has the capacity of, is it 450? About 440 where you're currently sitting. The new auditorium, and we have a fantastic picture to show you shortly, can seat about 650, I believe, which is terrific. That's absolutely wonderful. And then the Library Media Center in the yellow, I believe the current square footage of both of them is about 5,000, and I think in the new facility it would be about 8,000. Is that about right? And it will be a really fantastic area for kids to congregate after school, especially for studying, for peer group work, for collaboration. And then on the far right is just an expansion of the music area, I think underneath the current, the new auditorium, with some bands and music areas for them to practice, and even an area for stage production for them to work on the all of the materials they would need to put on the fantastic musicals that they do. So I think that's it, and Mr. Bernard will talk about the gymnasium.
The next few slides are dedicated, as Ms. O'Connell said, to the gymnasium space. Gymnasium space is at a premium here in the town, and for us, we're very excited about the number of teaching stations that will be afforded to students during the school day. What this slide represents is I'll talk more about alternative PE spaces in just a moment, but to give you a frame of reference, that's what this area will be here. And again, I'll speak in more detail about how those will be used. Locker room spaces for the two schools, separate of course, middle school and high school. But for this slide, I'd like to show you that this is our competition court. This would be the competition basketball court that we would use for all kinds of games that we would have with other towns, okay, both girls and boys. And what you see here, this represents bleachers that would come out from this wall that would feed the gymnasium during competition games. The next slide shows what also will be on the floor, and that is the ability to run two games simultaneously. While we wouldn't be able to use those for competition courts, and nor do we find the need to do that, we would be able to run two full-court basketball games at one time. It would be a dividing curtain that would run this way. But also what we would have is the ability to drop another curtain this way to divide that into 4 spaces, so there could be 4 half-court basketball games going on at any one time. What this slide represents is the alternative PE area. It's not easy to read, I'm sure, from where you're seated, but what it reads right here is weights and fitness. What this room would be is for weight training. It would be a full-fledged weight training facility that would be used both by classes for both schools and also for after-school athletics programs to help our athletes to be more fit and stronger. And then this room here to its right, that's labeled PE alternatives. That's a space that would be used for activities like wrestling, dance, cheerleading, gymnastics. There is no facility that exists now for us to run any of those programs. It would be designed specifically for those purposes, special flooring and such. I do want to just mention, it's not maybe the best slide to show this, but you heard us talk about Main Street. That was that back entrance off the major parking lot. You would actually be coming in to Main Street from the rear of the school, right about here. So you can see that it would feed that whole common core area that Ms. O'Connell talked about just a moment ago, starting with the gymnasium, leading into then the auditorium, cafeteria, and the library media space. Middle school locker rooms.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, again, that everyone is clear that there will be separate facilities for the middle schoolers to be able to change for PE. I think that's very important that you know that. So they are in the same area, but they will be separate facilities. And there's also the 2 health rooms. I think maybe the next slide will show that.
Yeah, if not, let's see. This just represents the same as it did for the middle school. These are now the high school locker rooms. And again, there's more of them because it feeds a larger athletic program than the middle school does. It's just the need for space. I'm not sure how clearly the health classrooms might be defined on another slide, but let me just show you that right here, these are 2 dedicated classrooms for health education. For any of you who have had a child come to the high school, you know that our current health classroom is a former auto shop. It literally has the garage door, in it concrete floor, no windows, poor ventilation, poor heating, just not even close to any kind of an optimum learning space. So to have 2 classrooms dedicated to that purpose is very exciting to hear about. So when you add all of this up, there's a significant amount of teaching spaces. When you think that we could divide the gymnasia space, that affords us 4 teaching stations, 2 alternative PE stations, 2 health classrooms. There's a lot going on in this area. It's one of the larger areas in the building. This just gives you a rendering of what the gymnasium could look like. Again, this would be the kind of the competition court. The Hornets are winning, of course. And this, you can't see it too well on the scoreboard. The bleachers are coming off of that large wall. The main street would be running all up this side here.
And I think I was just going to talk a little bit more about the main street. I think of it on the weekends as that would be your access in if you're coming for games or you're coming for productions. But for students, it really would be the main street. It would be an area where they would be accessing those core facilities. So as you look at this slide, on the left-hand side is the cafeteria, and again, separate facilities for middle and high school. And then on the right is the library media center that, although will be one room, will be separated appropriately for middle schoolers and high schoolers. And then it leads down to, I believe, the gymnasium straight ahead, or on the left, Mr. Bernard?
Actually, this would lead into the high school academic wing. The gymnasium would kind of be back this way somewhat. And I just, if I could, I'd call attention, what would be happening here, these girls look like they're coming in from the main entrance to the high school. So as you come in, if you can think back to the flyover or the site plan, where that bus drop-off area was, or student drop